Hello, everyone. Welcome to Let's Be Telepathy. We love your energy. We love that you're here, and welcome to the Hive. Today, we're going to dive right in to Miss Lori. She has been having a few issues over the weekend, contacted me. As some of you know, I've been still recovering, still got my little Rudolph red-nosed reindeer nose here, and trying to do my best. So I've been in and out of telepathy. For those of you that were in the last Zoom meeting with me, it was a private Zoom meeting. We did not record it. We did not share it. I have to say thank you for holding that space. Sometimes Melissa breaks down too. Sometimes I need a space for safety. Sometimes I need you guys, and you showed up so well for me. And thank you for those who pushed me into saying, you know what, Melissa, just go ahead and be real, be you, and break down, and let's not be telepathy today. Let's just be you. And thank you for holding that space for me. That was beautiful, and so inspiring to move forward and say, wow, we are building a hive, we are building a family, we're building a tribe, we're building people. And even over this weekend, Lori and Kim, I know they were able to connect. So I know that people are connecting within our hive, and it's becoming a support system in the way that we need support these days. And that's what's going to make us as human beings have faith in humanity, is the fact that we can trust in supporting others, and we can trust that others will support us. And if we have that, then we feel that connection, then we feel our worth, and we feel our love, then we feel secure in being ourselves and moving forward. So thank you to anybody out there who was a tiny little hero or a big hero, and just letting people fall apart, be themselves, say the truth, and you held that space for them. And that goes far beyond even me. That goes for anybody that you had in your life. Thank you. Keep those connections up, keep it real, and keep being you. That being said, Miss Lori, we're going to move over to you. Let's talk about this weekend.
Okay. So I think most of you have been in a meeting. Stephen hasn't. I have a son. He's 13 years old. He's not speaking. He is emerging open on the letterboards, but when he is dysregulated, he really can't communicate with me. Um, so I think we should start like August 20th was the first day that he had like an explosive, aggressive episode toward me. Um, it's something that we haven't seen in probably 5, 6, 7 years. It all kind of blurs down the road. So it was really shocking. And it was at a public place and at his speech therapy. It took like 4 people to get him off of me. Um, the immediate instinct is like, oh my goodness, like what's going on? How can I help him? Because I know he didn't intend to do it. Um, and he even confirmed for me after with hugs and giving me kisses and like trying to like nice night, kind of thing. But it really shook me to my core and brought me back to like the hard place we were in years and years ago. So I thought it was a fluke one-off thing and kind of just, I was like, you know what? He has an autoimmune condition called PANS. And one of his signals that he's having an issue is aggression. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to call the doctor. And they're used to me by now. And they know like, obviously they don't know about some of our world anymore, but they're very like, I'm like, hey, Jaden's either he's not sleeping, and they're like, yep, we'll get him in. In this instance, I was like, I don't know, he just had this episode, I got him in, they looked in his mouth, they said, oh, he has hand, foot, and mouth disease. And I was like, huh, how the heck would you know that? Because the sores were only presenting in his mouth. He doesn't get fevers to indicate it. He didn't have like a body rash. He had 2 little bumps that I thought were pimples because he's a teenager. Anyway, so she's like, yep, just go ahead. I was like, great, we got our answer. This is going to pass. 2 days later, he had another aggressive episode when I was home alone, and I was able to get away from him. But at that point, I'm like, shoot, something more is going on. So I called the doctor and I was like, hey, I think this is his PANS flare. We haven't had issues in so many years, but like, is it worth it? Just to try giving him an antibiotic. Because essentially for him, when he has a PANS flare, his body is looking for the intruder, the illness, virus, whatever it is, and it ends up attacking his brain. And so giving the antibiotic takes away that variable, because then his body doesn't have to look for the intruder because the antibiotic is looking for the intruder. So I was like, great, yep, you're willing to do it, let's try it. So things looked good for about 8, 9 days. And then on Saturday night, we were just laying down because I still lay with him to get him to fall asleep. And he's just looking at me and he's like stroking my face and he's smiling at me. And like a flip of a switch, he lashed out on me again. And this is the first time that my husband's seen it. And so he like ran over to kind of, get him off of me. And so then he actually went after my husband too. And so that has never happened before. It's always just been me. But I think in that moment, he may not have been able to decipher who I was versus who my husband was and all of that. So obviously at this point now that's 3 times in a couple of weeks, and I am, scared because I don't want this to be life, right? Because if you've been at a hard place, you immediately go, oh crap, we're back there again. But then I also like, how can I help him? He can't communicate with me. It could be something. So he's so sensitive to everything. He's sensitive to EMFs. He is sensitive to, light. Um, I'm assuming when we're around too many people, like the telepathic connection with people becomes too much for him. Like he can handle it until he can't. So we were camping, which the only reason we went camping this weekend is because it's at his happy place. Like this is like, we don't have Wi-Fi, we don't have anything. We can connect with the beach and the water and the grounding. And so he usually loves it. Had it been any other place, we wouldn't have gone. And so that was on Saturday night. And then that night he had really a hard time sleeping. And so much so that like he still sleeps next to me for safety and whatever, for his desire to, not mine. But and at like 2 a.m. he popped straight up out of bed, eyes bolted open, and he was like this close to my face. And I'm like, oh crap, here we go again. Now he didn't lash out at me at that point, but it's still like that fear in me, which then he's feeding off of, that's not making the situation any better. So long story short, we came home early yesterday. He seems happy to be home. We did stop. Melissa, you had recommended at 1.5 HTP. And I literally saw a vision of the word 5-HTP in my head. And I was like, I don't know who it's coming from, what it's coming from. I'm opening up, like I am starting to get little gifts, if that's what you want to call them, but I'm not 100% there on by any means. So I'm like, I don't know, it could have been Jaden, it could have been somebody in the community. Because at this point, like I talked with Kim and I talked with Melissa and I talked, so like all the kids might know that Jaden's struggling. And so anyway, I looked it up, and 5-HTP, if you use it too much, has something called serotonin syndrome, which can cause aggression. So we did not give it last night, and he's been good. He's good today. He's out with my husband right now, but I almost see such a subtle difference even in the way he's carrying his face. So I don't know if it could be as simple as that, or if that's just a contributing factor. So I guess long story short, what I want to do is just kind of check in with him, see if there's anything he needs, find out how best to support him. Because he's bigger than me and he's stronger than me. And when he's in that mood, his strength is super strength. So if I was by myself, I'm afraid that it could get to a point where I would really be hurt. So I guess that's where I'm at. I just kind of want to check in, see what he has to say, if there's anything that we could do to help support him. What's really cool is that Kim's son, Anthony, had spelling yesterday. And she's like, can I ask, the practitioner to ask Anthony if he knows Jaden? And that to me is so amazing because I didn't know Kim until a couple weeks ago, really. Like we've been in the meetings, but we haven't chatted until we started talking about lack of sleep of our son. So the point that like they're so connected and they know each other. And I know Anthony even's like the practitioner said Jason, and he's like, no, Jaden. Like, so it wasn't like by chance, that anyway, so that's where I'm at. I can, I'm sure I'll have more questions as you start telling me what you got coming to you, but
I'm even going to let Kim in on this because you guys know I was not on the online. I always call it online. I was on the telepathic line for a while just because of my sickness. Lori, I talked to you yesterday, and after I hung up with you, Anthony came in and said, can you check on my mom? I'm like, okay. So I checked on her. And then Kim wrote me back, and Kim, you could tell everyone what happened there, but if you want. But I thought that was really funny on how actually interconnected they were. It was funny.
It was crazy. So I was out for a walk with my mom and our dogs. and Anthony was home with my husband, just sitting. He has like this little, I was saying to Melissa, he has this like little director's chair that he sits out on in the front yard and he listens to the birds and he was totally happy, apparently. And then as soon as I got home, he got all amped up. And I was still on the phone with Lori and I was getting ready to take Anthony to his spelling lesson. So she and I had to hang up. And I think when Melissa reached out, she said Anthony's really worried about you. He says something. I can't remember what the phrase was. It was something like you're at your wit's end or you're at the end of your rope. It was something that sounded, he was
I think
really
it was something
worried.
about crisis mode or something.
Something, yeah. So and Melissa reached out really concerned, and I said, I actually woke up in a great mood. We were having people over last night, so I said, I don't think it's me. I think it's he senses how worried I am about Lori. So I was like feeling her pain because we've been there. I know how scary that can be, and I think that like you said, we're also interconnected. I'm feeling her pains, and he's worried about me because he thinks it's my pain. And I was trying to say to Melissa, I swear it's not me, but it's amazing. And the fact that he vocalized Jaden to his practitioner when she said Jason, and I've never talked to him about Jaden. So yeah, there's just it's a miracle. I don't know. It's just amazing.
She was saying he was all calm until I came home, and then he got frantic, and then he reaches out to me like, "Can you check on my mom?" And she's saying, "Well, I was more him," and he's going, "No, it's my mom." So I thought that was a little funny. Okay, so I'm gonna go. I have a few things written down that I want to talk about. First of all, August 20th, you had stated that date. August 20th was an activation for a lot of different people. We had a big, like, they're saying it was bigger than stadiums size asteroid that they were very concerned about hitting Earth, and it came very close. No, they say it came close, but it was 22,000 miles. So, take closeness however you want to take it. But it was close enough that it did interfere with the electromagnetic frequencies that were happening with some planets, and they lost some signal for some of those planets because of the way that it just crashed through the force field. And when it crashed through that force field, it rippled a little bit differently. And I have been hearing that a lot of people have been, especially over this weekend. I have been getting so many messages about my child's having aggression. My child is having a breakdown. My child's going through this emotional stuff. And it's really been heightened this weekend. What was interesting is I went and I looked at the Schumann resonance, and it was at 7, it was at 5. So it had nothing to do with that. So I had to dig a little deeper and say, okay, well, if one thing that I know about this community is that, and when I say community, I'm going to say sensitive people. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you're talking, if you're not talking, if you're empathetic, if you are sensitive to energy in any which way, shape, or form, you're going to be affected by this. It affected the way that the plasma was actually hitting on the sun, and so the sun actually started activating, or was a little bit differently. And then it goes into now Scott, who is taken away for our news team this week. He's going to update you what the reverberation from that asteroid had within our Earth itself, not just space and planetario.
Breaking news. No, actually, breaking is the key word. The ground broke in Afghanistan on the night of the 31st, which would be last night. They had a 6.0 right now, 800 dead, and still trying to recover in the rubble and all that. So it was for that area. That's a major earthquake. So. Um, it'd be interesting if it affects the Schumann resonance sometime in the next, or if it has already. I don't know if you've seen it recently, Melissa.
Yeah, it has hit. It was at 5 on Saturday. We just looked it up, and it was at 36. And I've
Yeah,
even
there you
seen it
go.
at 40s. And don't quote me on that. I'm gonna actually maybe now is 40. So
Yeah,
40,
doesn't surprise me at
yeah, so
all.
that was
No.
a 35 um increase since Saturday. I mean, that really is huge. That's Earth saying I'm at rest, and then I'm woke and I'm broke. And so, yeah. Do you have any more on that, Scott?
This just rolled in like an hour ago, so this is all fresh news that they still just other than that's pretty major for especially for that area. So
Yeah, yeah, most
Was
definitely.
also
And
a outage for Verizon Wireless here in Chicago, like a really big one. At first, it affected my husband. His phone was just showing like the SOS. He couldn't connect to any sort of cellular service, and then it affected me. But they were telling us it was a software issue that they were trying to resolve. But it happened on I think Saturday without a line. Yeah.
yeah, and actually my son, he's a manager at Verizon. It was pretty much across the board. Different spots got hit across the United States, and he was having it was a stressful day for him on that. So that's really interesting. Yeah, because it really pulsated through and disrupted so many signals. NASA wasn't getting some of their pictures that they, usually get. Some of the satellites just kind of went offline for a little bit there. Really disrupted, our Earth down to the point that here we're getting an earthquake, disrupted the sun, some of the clouds. Now moving on to Jaden, I know that this is a lot, within that, I mean, just a worldly thing for the people that are out there. I know I was having an issue with another lady, and it was interesting because it was the same time that Jaden was coming in, and she it was almost like they were bouncing off of each other. She was 36 hours into aggression, and her mom was just wit's end. And she is one of my prime people, so there's no hiding from her. And she wants to get in, she's getting in. And she's the only one. I don't know what she does, but she does it. And so she came in and I had to work with her. What was really interesting, I woke up the next morning and then it was check into Jaden. He's going through a lot of the same issues. I check into Jaden and he kind of expanded on what and it was Elsa. I can just say who it was, what Elsa had gone through and whatnot. So when I checked into him, and when I checked into her, they painted this beautiful yet very terrifying, ugly story of what was going on with the community. And so it's kind of a message for the whole and anybody that was going through any kind of distortion, any kind of aggression, confusion, frustration, anger, lots of emotions this weekend, lots of maybe feeling like you're drunk, feeling like you're not here, feeling like you are somebody else. And that was kind of going across the board. But what I had seen and what I asked Jaden what was going on, he said there is so much, and now it makes sense as we're putting it all together, right? But it didn't make this much sense yesterday, but at least where I was. He says, the problem that I was having is that there was so much static electricity, so many frequencies, so much chaos going all at once that I couldn't find any pattern. I couldn't find any rhythm. I couldn't find where I actually was. I was trying to hone down in any place, any capacity that I could possibly do it. I was hearing the thoughts. I was hearing the wants, needs, and desires of people outside of me. I was stuck within the chaos within the static electricity, and he shows like an analog screen, as though you're on an analog TV and you're flipping through all the different channels and it's static, 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 static. And he said, no matter what channel I flipped through, I only found distortion. I only found inconsistencies. I couldn't have any place that I could actually rest at, any place that I could actually put my feet down at. Anytime that I tried to grab onto something, it seemed like it was only for a minimal point of time, and then it was lost again. I didn't know what to do. My aggressions was not necessarily about hurting my mother. My aggression was trying to grab onto anything that I can while I was in a drowning pool of water. When you are in the rapids, when you are in the water, when you are in anything and you are drowning, you will try to take the people that are with you down with you. It is not because you are trying to kill them. It is not because you are trying to hurt them. It is because they are your savior. They are going to be the thing that if you hold on to them, if you can get them and into saving you, then they can. And that's what he was doing, is he was feeling all of He said, I was feeling the energy of the sadness, the killings, the lies, the deceit, but also the happiness and the joy and everything. And he said, when you feel everything at once, you have no idea who you are, what you are. You have no ability to think or formulate frequent thoughts that are steady enough for my body to be in control of itself, let alone my head be in control of itself. Because at that point in time, I did not have control of my own mind. And that is something that I want to work with, is training the body. And I have been working with, he said, and this is in whatever, I'm just going to say what he says. He said, I've been working with Melissa and Elsa on how to develop different ways that I can just work on my body. And it's going to be things that for some, it seems as though it's toddler. It seems as though it's not going to work. But I'm just saying things such as putting my hands together and having safe hands, learning how to put shapes and having my body put the shapes within, the little pegs that, like, they were showing me pegs, and how just routine of training the body to do something over and over, they can learn their hand movements, they can learn how their mind works, they can learn all of the different techniques that will allow them to work for their body. Because one thing that I know Elsa is really pushing for right now is independence within this community, to take relief off from the parents and to help the parents be able to have the support system that they can do what Lori and Kim did, and be able to call each other. And that is something that we're going to be working on in the future of Let's Be Telepathy, is just having a sheet of, this is people, if you want to call them, if you want to reach out to them, you guys can talk amongst each other and maybe find support. Maybe the group is going to be, hey guys, I need help right now, anybody that's ready. And then we're going to turn it over to something else where that is going to have all the pages. But one thing that they really right now are really trying to work on is controlling their body. Now, anything in spirituality that I know is that when we try to work on something, the first thing that happens is resistance in that. So if I say, I want patience, God is going to send me every single person that is going to test my patience. And they are asking for independence. And when they ask for independence, that means control of their own body. And when they need to have control of their own body, they're going to be pushed in every which way to say, here's your opportunity. But they function differently than how we function. They function with the universe, with the earth, with whatever. So they can't just say, I have control, I'm sovereign of my own self. Although people would like to say that, we know that they are much more of that quantum field. And in that quantum field, they are picking up everything around them. And when they're picking up everything around them and they don't know where they are, they have not been trained. And that was the big thing that I heard from Jaden and Elsa. Especially Jaden was the one that started the conversation. Nobody trained us to control our body. They've told us how, they've said it, but we need a training program on how that we can every day move this finger, come to this focus so that our head turns the right way, put our foot on the color red, and go body part by body part, learning how to actually take control of that, so that when they have these issues, they're not looking for you. Because that was the one thing that Jaden said, is our parents always do it for us. So we look to them, our aggressions, our sadness, our anger, our happiness, our everything. We look to them to care for us. So when we are in these positions where we are losing ourselves, we expect, it wasn't even a we wish, we expect that they are going to help us. And when they don't, we get mad at them. And he apologized to you. And I was, I knew we were going to talk today, because that was one of the things, is he says, I apologize that we expect so much of you, because they don't know what else to do. And you guys have put that into them. So we need to we should, I don't want to say need, however you guys want to take it, we should come up with different training techniques that just allow them to be in control of their body and to do things, even things such as there are parents that are still dressing their kids. Well, do hand over hand, show them how to do it, let them actually do it with you, because then that way they're learning their independence. And if they don't have independence, they have codependence. And if they have codependence, you are going to be the one that is going to have to make it up for them. And so that was one thing he had said. 5-HTP. Let's move on to that. Have you been giving it every day? Or was that something you were given him?
No, we were giving it every day since it was a call in mid-June. So we went from, for those that don't know, we went for about 2 months with barely sleeping. And so that was one of the things that Jaden had said he had needed at that point. So I had added it in. And once he started sleeping again, probably a couple weeks ago, I was like, okay, well, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to make any changes because, like, finally we were getting more than 2 hours of sleep a night. But like I said, for some reason it showed up in my vision and I was like, wait, 5-HTP, what? So then I looked it up. And I mean, I know that it has to be taken in large doses to cause an issue, which he wasn't, but we don't really know how their bodies function and if they do things correctly. So I was like, you know what? It came to me. I'm going to not give it. And like I said, there's almost more of like a calmness to his face today than like the uptight, like antsy, whatever face. It's so subtle, but I'm like, oh my goodness, you look better today. I don't know if it's related or if it's just coincidental, but I mean, it was worth a try.
Yeah. So one thing I want to say is, when I'm doing channeling, I'm going to channel what they say. It's going to be the responsibility of everyone else to actually look into that, to talk to any of the doctors, to talk to any naturopathic, whatever it is that you do, to go after that. And sometimes when I'm channeling, I don't sit back in my nursing head and I don't sit back in my naturopathic head and think about things. One thing with herbs that I'm just going to be across the board with anything or supplements, if it's not a necessity, medication and necessity medication, heart medication, diabetic medication, that kind of thing. If you are on any kind of supplements or herbs or anything, if you continuously use that for too long, your body depends on it and it stops working for itself. And even at low doses, it doesn't matter if it's a lot of big things. Even at low doses, the body can get used to it. And you're right, everybody is different. It is safest for anything across the board, even if it's vitamins. I have done so much work through my cancer work. I have gone to so many health professionals and I mean, across the board, I've asked them, and this is what all of them say. Naturopathic doctors won't say it, but naturopathics will say it, or people that aren't just pharmaceutical. If it's any supplement, any herb, and it's not a necessity medication, you should only be on it for 3 weeks. Give it 3 weeks and then you stop. Even if you need to restart it, at least stop for a week, because during that week, it gives your body enough time to say, do I need it or not, to regulate itself, to know where it's at. If it is needed, start it after a week, but give your body that 1 week for sure. And that's the safest across the board. That way you're not dependent on it. That way it doesn't over toxify itself or build up in your body. You have a resting period, you have a detox, and it gives your body a chance to say whether or not you need it, because maybe this whole week you're going to go through it and you're going to understand maybe he's not going to need it from here on out. I did give him, send him some relaxation energies and whatnot, some pattern energy to kind of help him, because he was so unsteady with, all of the chaos that was happening. He needed just, here's the line, here's the light, here's what you can follow. So hopefully that helps too. And that's something that when your people are going through aggression, any kind of stability whatsoever, that you can give them the reason that they're going through that aggression, the reason that they're going through, this distortion, this running, eloping, and whatnot, is because what they're seeing on the spiritual side and what they're experiencing on the human side are two vastly different things. And so therefore the body, the spirit, and the mind all fight each other. It goes into fight or flight, and none of them are under control. and all of them are trying to gain control. And at some points, and some people, we even get entities, we get other things that, take advantage of, well, they're not in control, so I'm going to step in and I'm going to be in control. And so we have so many variants, training them how to be in control, and that's why they say autism is so much pattern. You keep patterns, and that's because then they have structure to go on to every day. Their brain knows 3 o'clock, I need to do this. And so it doesn't cause so much distortion or time for them to play. It's giving them something constant to hang on to, and it's their variation or their way of grounding. So, yeah.
So does he have any suggestions for ways to help keep him safe in those situations? I like in that moment, right? I have all of these tricks and ideas of things I can do because we have like a sauna, we have a red light, we have, magnetic necklaces, we have like all these things. But like when you're in that crisis mode, I'm like, oh my goodness. So I don't know if there is anything to kind of like help him in that. I mean, oftentimes I'm reassuring him like, hey, it's me, it's mom. I'm not sure, what's going on, but I'm here to help, that kind of thing. But like, I don't know if is that enough or is there something else?
Claiming presence of your space and your child is going to be of most importance. This is my child. This is you, saying his name. This is Jaden. I am your mother, and I claim holy energy over him. I am nobody gets access to him but me. I mean, you can say the father, whatever, but making claim over that, because what's happening sometimes is that there's a fight within the body and nobody's claiming it, but he's trying to claim it. Maybe some entities are trying to claim it, maybe just his mind or his body are trying to claim whatever. When somebody takes authority in that situation, in any situation that I've been in where there has been aggression, what has stopped it the most was having absolute stubborn authority. I am here and you will not get past me. I am Melissa, and I'll just say, Keenan is he's coming to mind right now, and he had some really major aggressions on his mom that really got bad. I went out to California, I dealt with him, and he was full on attack. And the only thing that could help and the only thing that stopped him was me actually wrestling him to the ground, sitting on his stomachs, grabbing his wrist and putting it down, putting all my top weight down on his hands, because he had on his wrist, so he still could move his hands. It is minimal restraint, but it was what was safe for him. It was what was safe for me, and what was safe for his mom, because it was kicking, hitting, punching, throwing us against walls until, no, I will keep you safe. So then I had to ground him. A lot of people, they think restraint and they think that's horrible, that's abuse, that's whatever. But when you do safe restraint, it is a way of grounding them. It's affirming that you are there to help them control themselves. Now his legs are still free, arms are still free. Now if they're bucking, let them buck. Lift your butt up a little bit. That's okay. Give them some of that movement. We don't want to hurt. We don't want to whatever. Even when you're holding the hands, you're not holding the wrist. You're just going like this and holding them down. We don't want to cut off any circulation. We don't want to do it in aggression. We're doing it for safety purposes only. And it's an absolute ground of, hey, I am here. Look at me. And when I did that to Keenan, his mom and I both saw that switch of, Keenan, it's me, it's Melissa. And then what I did is we are in the kitchen. We are in the kitchen and I'm looking at the white floor. You are on the white floor. The floor is colder than anything else in the room. I am looking at the wooden shelves. And what I did is I talked about every single thing in the room, because when I started to talk about everything in the room and I knew his body was safe, I was safe, his mom was safe, then I could start bringing him back to where I was. And the weight. And now some people, you don't, a weighted blanket is enough, but having that extra weight is that extra ground. And now they have that pressure and that connection to their body, because they can feel something else is connecting. So they feel that connection. And then you start to just say everything in the room so that they're aware and focused of the room. Or you can say, I'm wearing, I'm wearing a sunflower dress, but start describing something that's in your environment so that they have focus and they can start coming back to that environment rather be stuck anywhere else. And then I asked Keenan, tell me what else is in the room. And it took him a while. Keenan, what's in the room? And then finally he said, fridge. And so now that was the first point that he got back. Okay, Keenan, the fridge is here. Like, what's in the fridge? Let's talk about what's in the fridge. And maybe he can't, but I can. I know that we just had some Cheesecake Factory. That's in there. We got cheese in the fridge. We got whatever. But talk about this life, because what we're trying to do in their aggression is pull them out of this, pull them out of whatever is happening spiritually and mindfully and energetically. And humanity, that'll strip you from that right away. So the closer they try to bring it to human, the less spirit you have, the less energy you have from the outside sources, and the more focus you have on the mind and body at that point in time. There's also aromatherapy. Some people do really good with aromatherapies. And, when you're seeing the triggering, that's one thing, is that I don't know if I'm just trained or if I just felt it or if it's instinct. There's always a trigger moment before something's going to happen. There's a flicker in the eye. There's a flicker in the tongue. They talk differently. They move different. Like they're just flip their head. There's a sudden jolt. When that happens, the first thing, especially when you've been into that place where it was of aggression, you're going to want to react because it's trigger moment. It's, oh my gosh, we've been through this before. And then thinking what worked, whatever. And all you're doing in that moment is getting back in that chaos with them, because you're just trying to go through your head of what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? However, if you start coming up with different plans and even training the body, hey, you might go through aggression when they're not in aggression. And that was something that Elsa and I worked with for 2 weeks. She just said, I feel like it's coming. Something's going to happen. I'm going to snap. I feel it in the atmosphere. It's coming close. And she was feeling that asteroid actually coming. We couldn't figure it out, but she knew something was going to distort her energy. And so one thing that I loved when I talked to her this weekend is, I told Corinne, she goes, I don't even know what to do with her. And I said, well, no, rest assured we're working. We're doing the same thing called safe hands, where she puts her hands together. And Corinne goes, she's never done that before, but she did it this time. And she knew it. And she stopped hating herself and she did it. So Elsa and I had been working 2 weeks. What happens if you have an aggression? Put your hands together, because then you're not hurting yourself. You're not whatever. And we trained her in times that she wasn't in her aggression, so that when the aggression came, it's just like an emergency. What do you do in a tornado? What do you do in a fire? What do you do? Whatever. These need to be natural training things that people do with their children, so that when the moment happens, everyone knows how to react, because your children are very much rhythmic, and they do things that they stay with things that are consistent. They trust things that are consistent. So if you're staying consistent and saying, I know you're getting aggressive, hands together. And then the next thing, I don't know what it's going to be like that, but you're going to work through that. Is it going to be prayer? Hands together, we're going to pray. I don't know whatever it's going to be, but what is going to bring you to a place where you can think? Put your hands together. Let's talk about the room, because you're going to need to train your brain before it goes back to, oh my gosh, it's aggression. Hey, he's going to hit me. He's going to do this, because that's where you're going to be, rather than you're going to be reactive rather than responsive. And so how can you be responsive in what's comfortable with you? What brings your child happiness? And so, oh my gosh, I see that this triggering moment's going to happen. Let's turn on the show. Let's give them a piece of licorice. I don't know what it is. But just training techniques.
Okay. And then one more question, I think we kind of discussed it a little bit this weekend, is when we get into that crisis situation, my first thing is like, oh my goodness, do we need to go take him to the hospital? Because I don't want him to hurt himself or others. Or in some cases, like with Brian, I don't know what started his situation, but like Jaden is an eloper. And I'm afraid that, like, we were right there on Lake Huron, like 50 feet away. And so I'm like, what if he bolts out and I can't catch him and save him? So I'm like trying to think. So anyway, so the one idea I had was like, do I take him to the ER and do I explain to him what's going on? And would they understand without making the situation something I don't want it to be? Because it's not going to help him to put him on a psych hold. You know what I mean? And so I just was curious your thoughts on that, because maybe there is something. He's 13, his body's going through a lot. Like maybe there is something that I need to help him mellow out so he can control his thoughts and his body and stuff like that more. Um, but again, it would have to be the right place, the right doctor. Somebody's going to take me seriously and not be like, oh, well, he shouldn't be in your home if he's hurting you, because he's not intending to hurt me.
I know that he had spoke this weekend about, he said the medication wouldn't be so bad. No, this would be long standing though. It wouldn't be Ativan or something that would be quick. It would just be something to get, hormones and stuff balanced. As far as, the house and those kind of things, I mean, we need to be looking at house safety, because when you're safe, your house is safe. If you have, there's these little alarm buttons that you can put on your window, and with the window opens, it alarms off. There's camera alerts, there's different locks, there's different things. So going through your house and having safety, that in itself will provide you with a place of rest. When it comes to the emergency things, I get this question a lot. Do I go in? Do I not go in? Because if I go in, I'm not getting the help that I need anyways. They're going to give him medicine, and then, they're shooting him up and he's still aggressive or she's still aggressive. And then they send him home, and now they're just mad at me because we just went through that whole thing. I'm traumatized because I just watched them pump 5 shots, full of medication while they're trying to hold my kid down. And so it's all traumatic. I can only say trust your instincts when it comes to those moments. If you feel they need to go to the ER, go to the ER. If you feel that it's something that you can, hold off and that you just can work through, then work through it. But I can't in good confidence say across the board, do this or do that, because each individual is an individual case, and each case is an individual case. So what happened now might not be applicable to what happened later. So when you're feeling we need to go to the ER, go to the ER. If it's a matter of extreme safety for someone, absolutely go to the ER. If it's, well, I'm just getting frustrated, but I know, I got a few more hours and this is just aggression. Try to hold it off. Again, we will be putting a support system, and the parents are going to be part of this too. It's not just going to be telepathy, that way you can call Kim and you can say, Kim, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And Kim's going to say, but you can't do this. I'll hold you up to give you a little bit more energy, so you have the will to do it. And then that gives you a little bit more strength. And so that's something that we're going to do, is just, hey, if you need someone, here's the thing. Or maybe, again, just write on the group, is anyone available to talk? And I'm sure that somebody's going to be available, because resources outside of just trying to figure out with your child what you can do for them. Another resource is, what can you do for you? How can you get that trauma? How can you get that out of your mind?
Yeah. And that, I mean, that's been a blessing, because we don't have a large support system. We've got 0 people. I have not had one night away from my son, and he's 13 ever. Nobody will watch him. Nobody knows how to help take care of him. Nobody can keep him safe. So to have somebody like Kim, sorry if I contact you too much, but it's such a huge blessing to be able to be like, I know you get it. Even if our situations are slightly different, or you know what, we've all got like the background knowledge and stuff to help support each other and help calm each other and help like get us through to the next thing. So I think it would be really great to have that, because we haven't had it until recently. And so like, I think I talk with Cindy too, with her son Jason and Kim, and I'm like, oh my goodness, if anything ever happened, like it's just so nice and reassuring knowing that somebody's going to be there and not be judgmental and kind of offer support. So yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea.
And I saw in the comments here, Jennifer said, create a volunteer healing team, and that's something that we're going to be working on too. It's just give us maybe 3 months to get it all together. I got some help here for sure. I know Nina's helping. I know Tara's helping. Scott's helping. We're gonna really build this. Scott, I just keep thinking, I'm like, where does Scott fit it? You just need to be the news team. Here's the weekly news by Scott. you seem
Well,
you seem to be
I'm
on
so
that.
good at talking that my hiking group here used to just sit down and they called it Sunday Morning Science with Scotty because I wouldn't stop talking about a topic. So I'm good at that. Moon and Gemini at birth. So
Yeah. Yeah, and we're gonna like
and I will say, actually, I will give a second on that asteroid too that recently came by. Where is my notebook? It's over there. It's like March of this year is when all my mentors finally slapped me across the face enough to say, you need to learn astrology. And I'm an astronomer, not an astrologer. So I appreciated the science and I thought, astrology, it's kind of cute. But I never actually like dinged anybody for believing in it because I too enjoyed reading the horoscopes or going to a Chinese restaurant and getting the little cookie. Um, but I did my birth chart. I looked at some cases that I'm working on, their birth charts, and even their death was in their birth chart. I started seeing stuff. I'm like, you can't make this stuff. I mean, this is more than coincidence. So then I started studying it really seriously in that, and best in Sunday Morning Science with Scotty, real quick here, is that to look at it like this. Astrology and the forces of every astrological body and geometry doesn't make you do things, but it is like a force shining on you to to push you in areas that make you you. And you actually requested that alignment at birth and throughout your life. I'll add that in there too. Sorry about that. When you have problems, you ask for it. I'm sorry. Before you were born. You picked your parents, you picked your life, you picked your death, you picked all that stuff. That's a whole nother topic. But anyway, the fact that astrology has caused that asteroid has caused such a big ripple in all of this exceptionally sensitive people does not surprise me. So,
Yeah, there's so much in astrology and stuff that goes on. Stephen, you wrote a comment in there. I have to ask where you got that from.
I've been trying to catalog just like direct quotes from non-speakers from any source. Obviously, the telepathy tape's the main source. This one came from an interview with Vita Austin, who's a water researcher, and that came from you or something? Okay, well, yeah, I figured.
All too well. And so yeah, so I was the telepathic communicator on that. If you watch that video, I'm their telepathic communicator. That's my partner in crime. I'm just like, I know that one all too well because we got on a so I did not channel for Sammy's mom, Susan, or channels for her. So that was one that I didn't channel, but that was one that I know was in the conversation in the group that we had between them. So I just saw that and I'm like, yes. Coincidences all over the place, right? All right. So let's move on to Miss Carmen.
Okay, so my question, can you hear me? Okay. All right. So my question is about 3I Atlas. So different than an asteroid, right? It's a highly unusual object, as they don't call it an asteroid, a highly unusual object coming from other galaxies far, far away, wherever that is. So, and you can read a lot about this object coming through our solar system right now, and it's going to be closest to the sun October 30th. But you can go online and everybody can research it if they don't know what this is. But my question to you is, can you channel it and or whatever the entity is behind it to see what's its intentions for us or how it's planning to impact us, or if it's just not planning to impact us and then we're just going to get a side effect like all these terrible solar flares are probably that's coming. So I think it's going to affect the sun, and I think that's what like geophysicists and other people who study the solar flares are saying, that there's going to be a lot of solar flare activities in the next 2 months. A lot.
Yeah, there are. Did you just get on, Tara, because you knew Owen was going to step up to answer this?
Yeah, sort of.
Because he stepped right in, and then you show your screen. I love it. Owen said it has already started to affect us. The consciousness that it carried along and actually had living beings and living. So he's showing that living consciousness, so something that was alive, has already touched and affected this. And he said it is coming from a different planetary system, perhaps even another universe, but a universe within a universe. It stepped out of one universe and came into our universe through a worm. It wasn't a wormhole, but I'm saying a wormhole. But he's calling it something different. He says the cosmic slide. It came in through the cosmic slide, and he said, and therefore it is already affecting us. Not will it affect us, it already has started to affect us. And anytime that we have any energy imposing into another energy, it has to take into consideration for the whole. And so already this has started to be considered as part of our whole. Whether or not it touches anything or it doesn't touch anything, it will affect everything. But yes, it will indeed affect several of the planets. It will affect Earth. It will actually change Earth consciousness. The Earth consciousness is going to change in various ways on this. It's going to create fear in a certain way, because what is coming from this was leftover from another planetary system that had already destroyed. It is no longer living. They're looking for a place of home. They are looking for a place of letdown for a new consciousness to happen. They have entered into Earth. They are confused as we are confused, and they want to enter into the place of consciousness here, but they are not sure how to adapt it. So they're doing it. He says they're doing a drive-by. They're just doing a drive. Sorry, guys, I'm still making up for my sickness. He goes, they're doing a drive-by to see if it's any place they want to vacation at and make their their babies. He says the interesting thing about aliens is that they don't actually need. Now, when also step back, hang on, Owen. When we talk about aliens, it's quite literally anything outside of this Earth. So any consciousness, even angels would be considered aliens in this aspect. So anything outside of Earth. And he said, it was really interesting, as many alien species, they don't even have bodies that they can breed with. And so a lot of them will come and they will drop their seeds of consciousness into humanity, and they will be placed into people. And when they are placed into people, then their consciousness is born. The human has to live their life out on this planetary system, but their truest consciousness and their truest birth was within that energetic moment. And when they were birthed in humanity, that consciousness was birthed and given a life. And so therefore that is sent into the planetary system that they were actually meant to be born on. And that is something that this system is going to do. They will find a planet to have breeders. And when they have breeders and they set their seed down, their seed of consciousness will activate within a living life formation again, which will activate them, and they will start to rebuild their species as a whole. And he's saying that not to say that will overtake humanity. I don't want that to be a mistake. There are several people that have their seeds of consciousness from their alien species that have already been born, and they're living the human life. They are considered human. They will not be considered aliens. What I am saying is that when we go into consciousness and we place consciousness in a living body, that can spread and it can open up, and consciousness can be seen in very different places, which is why I can be in Melissa's head right now, will also be in my living room, is because we can split consciousness. And that's why spirits, or so many people, say, well, I saw mom at this exact moment 5:06 on Thursday, and multiple people in multiple places we'll see it because consciousness can spread, our body cannot, and they're going to come and they're going to plant their seeds. They're going to plant their seeds to help us because they see that our planetary system is falling apart, and they have already been through that trauma. They don't want to see it again. So if they choose us, and I hope they do, he says, and I hope they do, then we will start to have an army of consciousness that is going to fight for our planet to stay alive and no longer deteriorate or be disrespected in the way that it has. But it will cause a complete disruption, and a recalibration or a calibration will be needed so that we can be rebirthed and reset to the conscious field that we are trying to enter in as a conscious whole. We have now achieved the point where more people are striving to save this place and save themselves than destruction. Even though we see destruction and corruption on our social media, the people that are truly doing the work choose to stay away from that kind of disruption, and they choose to be doing the work rather than showing the work on social media. So please do not be discouraged in the fact that you think nothing's happening and our world is getting worse just because you're seeing it, because the people that know that changes need to be made are not engaging in those kinds of platforms.
Is this, and maybe you can ask Owen because he got to meet him, but is this the thing that Chris Bledsoe has been talking about, a new knowledge and a new, he was kind of predicting or saying that it was going to happen in Easter of next year. But is this the beginning of that, this new knowledge that we're supposed to acquire?
First and foremost, no knowledge is new knowledge. It's just recycled knowledge, because consciousness as a whole had already set out the knowledge and the wisdom that was going to be utilized and could be affirmed in our world prior to our existence. So there is a cap of certain knowledge that we can have. Now we can access any knowledge and anything that has been ever within our universal system, within our energy systems, even outside of this world. If we have consciously set foot into other places, we would be able to have. But what the difference is that we have this wisdom that is gifted to everyone. Anyone can access it, anybody can see it, but people don't have the knowledge to use it. And Owen says it started last year already, which is why we've had so much purging of energy and so much purging of the souls. We've seen more of the ugliness because we had to get rid of it to purify the souls and to wake people up enough to bring awareness to the situations that are happening within corruptions and lies of the world, but also to bring awareness to the power within yourself. The awareness is going to be more predominant. The knowledge to utilize the wisdom will be more accessible because more people are going to talk, explain, and take the time to teach the lessons rather than just speak the words.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah. And that leads us into Stephen. Stephen, welcome. Introduce yourself and tell us why you're here. And thank you,
yes.
Owen. Thank you, Owen. I should not. I really thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Owen. That was my first time. I was actually confused. I was like, "What's going on here?" It's my first time here. My name is Stephen Lee. I guess I'm as much of a fan of the tapes as everyone else here. And do I just ask my first question right now, or okay? So my first question is, I feel like I'm just under the impression that the messages that the non-speaker is able to get, like spell out to us, like assuming there's kind of spelling out exactly what they're intending, are they ever wrong? Because I'm under the impression that they're almost infallible, which feels a little bit weird. And is, you know, almost like it's taking away. I'm almost like neglecting my own personal responsibility to think critically for myself. If the non-speakers are always right, it's like, well, what else what am I here for? You know, so that's my question. Like, are they ever wrong? Is there a limit to their knowledge?
So when it comes to the non-speakers, I cannot say whether or not all of them are truthful or not. The clear answer is no. Not all of them. When it comes to telepathy, there is no way that you could ever lie telepathically. There is no way that your spirit would ever lie to you. And it's just like when you tap into creator, God, whatever you feel that is, you are always being told the truth. They are so connected to that creator, to that source. The places that they reside in, from what I can see energetically, is the place where they are in between, quite literally, earth and what maybe some might consider heaven. So they never leave the access point of the creator, making it so they cannot lie, they cannot cheat, they cannot do anything that would go against holiness. That being said, there are communicators, there are ways where the body could trick you and things could be wrong. With spelling, sometimes, and now I want to say I believe in spelling, and I believe in facilitated, I believe in telepathy. I do 100% believe in this. What I know personally from my friends that I work with is sometimes they'll spell things and they look confused afterwards because their body was not doing what they say. So they have even said at times, that's not what I meant to spell, that's not what I meant to say. And I even have clips sometimes of where they're saying something, and then they get kind of confused, and then they'll spell Melissa talk, because what their mind and their body was saying was very connected to humanity. And humanity can be very distorted by electromagnetic frequency, electric frequencies, magnetic frequencies, Earth's resonance, astrology, even the people's emotions within 26 miles of us, people's emotions, when they're so tied in the way that they are, sometimes you might ask them a question, but maybe I'm asking Owen a question and he means to answer for himself, but he taps into Stephen, and now he's tapped into you, so he might answer for you. And so it everything and I'm going to say it too. Anne Marie even wrote before this thing. She goes, I felt like, I had this dream and something was saying, don't trust Melissa. And then I really saw it through and I thought, oh, well, that was just an entity. That was just something telling me not to, because when she looks at it, she knows what she feels. She knows what she sees. She's feeling the affirmations from other people. So while on earth, you're going to maybe feel these feelings. And I question myself, and I tell everyone that too. I question myself all the dang time. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't even believe in myself. I wouldn't even know I'm real. But then I hear, well, medically this came up and you were right. I did the labs and this was right. What you said, helped us sleep. What you said, calmed them down immediately. And so my thing is, question anyone and everyone. If you feel like it's not right, even if it's right, if it feels like it's not right for you. So don't trust that. But there is flaws in everybody's communication, and that's why we're striving so hard to get people to remember telepathy, because in telepathy there's no lies, there's only truth. There is absolute knowledge. You are accessible to anything and everything that you or anybody that you talk to have experienced. You are part of the collective, and you'll be seeing as the documentaries and stuff are coming out, especially with Veda Austin. She doesn't stop and say, let's do all of this scientific stuff. I just want to hear you go. And she will ask a question. And through that question, we've been able to find 7 different phases of water. We've been able to find the actual conscious code, like formula, when we can do coding. And so we're learning that when we talk to them, it's almost some of the researchers and scientists are saying it's more knowledge than any AI has. And once you ask them, it's direct and it's true every time. So if what they are truly doing is telepathy, if what they are truly doing is they are in alignment with their mind and body, if they are truly in aligned with their facilitated communicator, 100% of the time it will always be true. They are not programmed to lie. And in fact, that's a lot of the glitches that they have within this lifetime is they can't lie. And because they can't lie, watching other people lie, watching other people fib is what spins them, because it puts them in a, this doesn't compute, this doesn't make sense, it doesn't fit the equation. And then they'll get fixated on that. They get fixated on the thing that's not real. And when they're fixated on the thing that's not real, then they think nothing's real. And then they get out of their head and they question everything. What is real? What is this? What is that? And then they even question if their body's real. So it's not in them, and it actually goes against them to lie at any capacity. But again, ask yourself if it's right. Question yourself if it's right. Lean into it in every angle that you can and question it, and question everything I just said. Because the only way that you're going to find truth, the only way that you're going to find concrete knowledge that you need for yourself is to ask all the questions in any capacity, in every capacity that you could possibly ask them, until you get a solid answer that you know you can't move from. And maybe something moves later on and that answer changes. That's okay. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I actually, this might help Stephen. And by the way, Owen just lowered my hand again. That wasn't me. He likes to play with my screen remotely. Just so you know, Stephen, their electromagnetic energy can also remotely travel. I wrote something working on a recent event project with several of the spellers, and I'm putting together sort of an overview summary of WTF, what just happened, basically, and to try and interpret. And interpretation is part of the key word, but I wrote this, and I think this may be a good place to read it. Since they, being the spellers, are tapped into source, Akasha, guides, ancestors, and other spirits, the words at times that they present during these channeling are not our lingo. They're seen as cryptic, but they are spot on to the source that they say it. The non-speakers, and anybody spiritual really, partially live outside of their physical body in the spirit realm. So sometimes they have to find the closest word to fit the earth or current time period for what they're trying to express. The source is eternal. The Akashic threads through many time periods and cultures. So they could even pull out expressions that, like, what does that mean? But to them, it means perfect sense. And they'll repeat it over and over again because the Akasha, known as the Sky Library, is what the word Akasha stands for. Past, present, and all possible futures all exist at exactly the same time. So and I've been to the Akashic record several times, and you can pull out any one of those. But when you present it to someone at Earth, you're like, how do I describe this? So it comes down to interpretation and what angle you're viewing as to what picture or message you receive. It's the best I can say. And it's not that they're wrong. Sometimes it's about interpretation, or sometimes their answer, as Melissa also pointed out, is influenced by external sources and energies that are transient at the moment. So, um, in the words of one of my top medium mentors, she said, "Don't ever be so sure of what you're sure of."
Yeah, that's truth. That's truth. And I question everything. Even if I'm sure of it, I still question it to make sure I'm still sure of it. So, dive into your intuition, and that's learning your intuition too, is questioning everything and feeling what is right and wrong within yourself. I know you had another question too, Stephen. Can you ask that?
Yeah, this is my last question. I'm trying my best not to hog everyone's time and attention here, so I appreciate everyone's time. My second question, I do feel like telepathy is probably going to be the way that we communicate in the future. So it seems like everyone, not everyone, but I'm definitely interested in learning more about it because like from my perspective, it seems like it's just like in remote viewing, some psi ability that you're able to learn or whatever. And I know there are different forms of telepathy, like maybe some kind of like channeling or getting like a very specific key word that that's maybe that kind of method would be more like the scientists I think will be more interested in that method because they can test it repeatedly. Like, can you transfer this word and you can get that exactness and whatever repeatability. Although I feel like that method maybe it's not as fluid, if you will, as some other methods. I guess my question is like, are we at a point where we can almost start learning how to practice telepathy? I know there are people out there who kind of teach us, but really want to hear your opinion on this, Melissa. Thank you.
So I first want to express that telepathy is a remembrance, not anything that you'll ever have to learn. It's just something that you have to remember because as a child, we were born with it. And that's how we were able to let our parents know what was wrong with us. And it's something that you have when you're thinking about a friend, when you're thinking about a family member, and then suddenly they call you. Or if you've ever gone to a store and then just picked something up and brought it home and somebody's like, oh, I wanted that. Telepathy is in our everyday life, whether we see it or not. It's an expression of taking time and remembering and focusing on that remembrance. You are correct. There are several different ways of telepathy. And that's, I think, one of the bigger things that people have a harder time with is they don't know how to access telepathy. We can teach and we can guide. And I am really trying. Life just went, whoop. I had a whole class that was together. And then some weird stuff happened. Like it went really weird. I made a telepathy class and somehow the kids made a page for me. It was the craziest thing to watch. You were part of that. The kids made a whole page for me, started putting out all of my educational stuff. I didn't even have access to it. Kim had to let me in, was like, why am I getting a request from Melissa? And it was a page that they made under my name, but I had to even request, and I'm getting we had 161 people, and we even getting people like, I was telepathically called by Melissa to be here. I was telepathically called by this person to be here. And so I had to sit back and sit with all of those kids that just overtook me to say, okay, apparently I need to reapproach how I'm going to teach this. So I had to step back with all these kids and come up with a different way. And one of the things is I was going to go in and say, well, let's work on ourselves, which I will say Kim did the homework and she started really getting intuitive in just that first week. But one of the things is that there's physical telepathy. So that's going to be your knee hurts and it didn't hurt. You didn't injure it. You didn't do anything, and suddenly you find out somebody else's knee hurts. There's mind telepathy, and that mind telepathy is more that is more remote viewing. That is going into somebody else's mind, being able to see what they see, picking that information up, and then transferring that. So that's the word, that's the number, that's the colors and stuff. And that's more of a psychic telepathy, and really lies on, is it telepathy or psychic abilities at that point? But because you're going through that other person's mind and they're allowing you to, then you can access that point. So it maybe we'll see what it is. Then there's the spiritual, where you're spiritually feeling something. You might go throughout your day feeling great and then suddenly anxiety hits you, or ultimate happiness hits you, or some emotion just hits you, and you're picking up what their spirit is picking up. The and really I know it's emotional, and it could be emotional telepathy. I call it spiritual because the spirit gets affected by it and it starts getting anxious, and it's the spirit saying something's wrong, and then it'll pull out an emotions. Then there's also the channeling of just, and that's more of what I do, is just, what do you guys have to say? Use my body and let's go through it. And so there are different ways. So finding which way you work with in yourself. Are you more spiritual? Are you more physical? Are you more from the mind? And then accessing it from that point. And it takes time to just sit back, monitor yourself and say, where am I at? And notice whatever, however you pick that, where you are. One thing, and we've only done one EEG. I'll do several more later on. Today I was running late, so I didn't. However, what you'll see in that is before, well, unless they're taking over my brain, you'll see a kind of calm and then they come in. But there's always this big spike and then there's a calm down just for a little bit. And that's going, okay, they're here, but what's me? Because you always have to be checking in with yourself, and what is outside of yourself then is that telepathy, is that feeling and that energy. So always being aware, because consciousness is being aware. Telepathy is being aware. So the more that you're aware, the more you observe, the more acknowledged or, an acknowledgement that you take over your own environment as a whole, then any outside influences that you're going to feel, you're gonna say, okay, that's not really me. What or who is that? And then it's going to give you that acknowledgement to reach outside of your body to say, okay, is it something out there? And I almost feel this magnetic, I don't know, I feel like it's almost this, I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like my spirit kind of, or my brain magnetically pulls out rather than in for a while when it's somebody else. But when you're going through telepathy, once you feel that outside source, you want to bring that in, because you never want to work outside your body. That's where you're going to start getting ghosts and spirits and different things that are going to talk to you. So if you say, okay, I feel your signature, I know it, I hear it, come here, because they're doing the same thing. So essentially what they're doing is they're going into their body and you're going into your body, which means nobody else but creator can have access to that at that point. So it's a safe and secure line. And then that way you can just, talk amongst yourselves that way. And then as people come in, you'll start to know their code. And it's just like having a phone number or having a name. They'll make sounds in your head or give you a certain picture. And then every time they come in, you just know who it is. And it's instinctual. I believe after, I've been doing healing, shamanic stuff, medicine woman, herbalism. I've been a phlebotomist, nurse. I've done so much, and I've always been looking for what is going to be that thing to heal the world. I've started so many projects, festivals. I've every facet that I can possibly think of helping humanity. What could it be? And I will tell you, I believe that it is telepathy, because it will take out all the lies. It will take out all the questions. You will know your history. You will know how everything works. You will have you will have the absolute truth to all, and nobody can lie and manipulate in it. I believe that the best way to heal the world is to remind people about the telepathy so that they see the truth in every single thing. And if we had telepathy, no lies, no corruption, no ego, no anything, because telepathy is always what is for the best of the whole. No ifs, ands, or buts. We are doing it for the whole. That's my rant.
And gee, I wonder why people would want that repressed.
Right. And it seems, it's funny because it's all the people that you would think would want the truth out there. They're like, no, they don't want the truth to come out, because then they would seem like liars. And so, you know what? I don't care. I'm just going to trudge forward and keep saying the truth, because those that speak telepathy and those that know spirit, and the creator in themselves, that you'll always come to a place of truth. And there's not going to be questions. There might be like human side of getting in your head, but you'll just know. And if we just did telepathy, there would be no more getting in your head, because somebody else would feel it. I can tell you, there's so many of you out there, and so many of you can even say, even in this call, well, Melissa just knew, or she picked up, or she whatever, and then it instantly changed. And that is what happens in telepathy, is that suddenly, hey, I need support. Leland needs support. Okay, call his mom up. What's up, Lisa? Well, Leland's going kind of crazy because I got the call and I knew immediately I need to help my friend. There were no ifs, ands, or but. It was an SOS and a knowing that I could do it, because telepathy will give you that confidence. It'll give you the know-how, and it'll give you the ability to fix people in the most extreme ways and support them in ways they actually need, not ways that we think that they want. Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, SOS, Melissa.
Yeah, yeah.
So what does Leland need right now that I'm not providing? Are you channeling today? I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah, I
even
am.
ask.
Yep. No, I
Okay.
am today. I am. You know what he says? He says, I want to have more fun, Mom. I want you to be more kid-like, not so serious. I want to go, he says, but he's also talking about his body learning how to. He says, I want to learn to go outside in public and be able to play with other friends and have the experience to have friends outside of family and to have fun and for people to love me and to know my abilities. And he also says, want you to write the book we talked about a while ago, Mom.
Oh, I'll put that on the list. Oh my gosh.
Like,
Okay,
we
yeah.
wrote it. You just have to draw it.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then he says he also wants, he says, I want Dad to breathe and believe.
breathe and believe.
Breathe
Fantastic.
and
Okay.
believe. And I
Okay.
want you, Mom, to
Mhm.
rest, because you keep trying to
Okay.
do so much work. And if you aren't resting, I can't rest. And he said, maybe we can utilize our energy differently together.
Okay.
He wants to do chores. He wants his body. He said, I would like to be a respectable man and do some chores around the house. I don't know how.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. I can start implementing that. Okay. And I know what you're saying is it resonates a whole lot, because that's what I've been picking up on, is the going out into public and being around other peers like him. I'm trying to find that in my area. It is very, very hard. So he's like, well, then Mom, create it. And then I'm like, okay, you want me to rest? You want me to write a book? You want me to do all these things, but I also want you to create this and this and this. I want you to start a foundation in my name. I mean, like, and then rest. So it's so many things. He has me, that he's speaking to me, that he really needs, right? And there is no concept of time for them, right? It's not linear. So I'm trying to fit all of this in, because I know that resonates so much. Hey, hold on, we're a little overstimulated today. That's why I was asking you, like, what's going on today.
Yeah, he has energy and he needs it out of the house because he keeps spending his energy in the house. And so he said that your house is so full of energy, nobody can rest. Open some doors and windows. Let it all go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah. I'm gonna send him some energy here. Just calming. His head is like this.
Yeah, I'm very busy, like I'm always so busy. I'm trying to find a nice medium balance, when it comes to all this energy work and all this multi-dimensional hopping that I've been doing, and trying to keep it calm, cool, and collected all at the same time. It's a lot, especially whenever you have a child that is, to use my language, for lack of better words, balls to the wall all day long. And he's constantly popping in and out, in and out, in and out, and yeah, it's a lot.
We got to get that. I'm gonna write that too. The healing team for parents too. We need to get that. Not just the kids. There we go. Okay. Kim. Oh, sorry, Lisa. Were you done? I I just sidetracked my head here, and I'm like, we need to get the healing for the parents too. I know,
Okay,
Monique.
so that's a big thing for that Leland's been asking me to do. The whole thing that he's asking me to put together is a huge foundation, and it's not just for the children, it's mainly for the caregivers and their siblings. It's a big mental health facility for the caregivers and the siblings of, of these special children here. So you're picking up on everything that he's been asking me to do. So thank you for giving me that extra push, I guess, just so to speak. Um, I know that that is the right direction. So I'll stop procrastinating and get on that today.
You'll have help. Let's all get together.
I'm in the Houston, Texas area, but I'm about 30 to 45 minutes north of Houston. So there's no facilities around here for that kind of space. And I'm being told it needs to be created. So if anybody can give me any help when it comes to getting that um, um, nonprofit organization going, I've got some ideas. I just know it's going to be a lot of paperwork. I just don't want to miss anything. I can only find so much. I just don't, I want somebody that's gone through it, and knows the inside and outside of it all. So if anybody here has any information that they would like to share with me, please leave it in the comments, and I'd greatly, greatly appreciate it all. Thank you for y'all's time. I'm going to let somebody else take over.
All right. I'm gonna bring Nina up, but while you're talking, Lisa had a group. I know I was really trying to work, and then came on the sickness, and my cancer grew a little bit. So I've just been a little bit going back to my health and my body for a bit. However, I'm going to post, and I'm doing it right now, that Lisa has a group of the Unspoken Brilliance Moms with Non-Speaking Parents, and that is a group that was made specifically for people that need the support. So I'm going to put that. I don't know why we never shared it, or nobody shared it on Let's Be Telepathy. There's 9 people. I know more than 9 people need this support. So I'm going to put that on the Let's Be Telepathy page. Go ahead and go get into that group, because I feel that's going to be a really good group for just, we need a rant, we need help, we need that support too. And I know that they made that group with a beautiful group of people that really really were wanting to, and Lisa, I will say Lisa specifically in that group really stepped up to try to provide as much, as she could to these parents that were having children with aggressions or issues, and is really into, I want to provide help and support. And yeah, go ahead on that Let's Be Telepathy page. I'll put that there, but that's not the page, you guys. I'm gonna actually it's the Unspoken Brilliance Moms of Non-Speakers. So go to that if you guys are needing any support, you're wanting any support. The group's just starting to grow, but I'm sure it'll grow fast for a community in need. And Nina, go ahead.
Hey everyone, I'm a little sick today, so excuse my video off. So on November 7th to the 11th, there's a group of us who are meeting in North Carolina, and I think it's already full. I just announced it yesterday, but I've been kind of pre-announcing it with the group. So I decided to book a second place. I just found one, and it's like such a miracle. It's like absolutely extremely affordable. And I just felt like the house was really safe. It wasn't immediately on water. It's not on a big cliff or anything. And so what I want to do is open that space for a few families to meet, because I know Tara and Owen wanted to come on the retreat. Kim, I don't know if you and Anthony had thought about it. I know Cindy had mentioned she wanted to go with Jax and Jason. My friend Alicia wants to go with her son, also a Jax. Really, really cool kid. This kid can read every language. He can't speak, but he could read everything. It was just, he's such a cool kid. So, anyways, if any of you are interested, reach out to Tara. She's helping to organize some of this stuff. And I think what we'll do on that meeting is obviously we're going to overlap these groups. That's part of what these kids are asking for is more advocacy from spiritually minded supporters. So we're going to overlap this. We're also going to do something in convergence with Melissa and Veda being in Egypt because they'll be there at that same time. And so there's something energetically that I think the group can do there in union with your work. And then lastly, what I'd like to do is I'd like to put together support so that not everyone is always doing this stuff in silos. So for example, let's have a meeting that's like, is your non-speaker interested in getting their words out? Okay, well, we're going to get an editor on this call. Anyone who has any questions about this, we're going to put this call together. And if your kiddo wants to do this, they can help guide. And that way it's more, I can probably get a volunteer to come and speak and do this type of thing. So that's what I'm working on is helping everyone stand up all of their things instead of having everyone have these same challenges. We have these conversations of 503 versus 508 or self-published versus a company or, where do we go to have telepathic guidance? Like I want Melissa to kind of oversee this part of it, and that's what we've been seeing. So it's not to take over any of the visions of the foundations or projects that your non-speaker or inventions your non-speakers are saying. It's almost um, like a garden that grows all these different gardens within it. So stay tuned on that. We've been kind of conceptually sitting into it, and we're going to be meeting tomorrow. And then, yeah, if you're interested in going to that meeting, the goal is that you don't have to pay any money to stay there. So it'll be a free retreat for you. Um, we have our friend Paulina, who's an incredible organic, healthy chef. So she's going to do meal requests and things like that. So yeah, so I'd love to have some of you come. I think we'll probably have room for 4 families, as long as you're okay sleeping on king beds. And then I even was thinking it would be lovely to have, they said to me, it'd be lovely if one of the women from the women's retreat volunteered to sleep on the couch in the family's house every night, just so that we had someone sleeping in the living room. And because it's just going to be and we want to think about how to do stuff like this really safely with your families. So the retreat will be in the North Carolina, Bryson City area, Lisa. And I live in St. Pete, Florida. And then also, for example, we're going to be meeting with are you still going, Tara? I think we're going, right, to Canada to have Thanksgiving or their Thanksgiving up in Canada, whatever they call it. So we'll be meeting with Teresa and Philippe, and they've said like if anyone else wants to come and gather, we could get another rental house there. So I think if we just start kind of announcing a couple gatherings like this in community, it doesn't have to be anything formal. Everything's organically forming. And so just like affirmation to everyone who's feeling the same messages of think big, because that's what they're all saying to us. Go do this, think big. And so if we can say, oh, this is how you did this, great. Maybe the editor from here, or maybe this investor from here would like to also come over to here. And then you just kind of get the shared community within that. So I'm working on it. It's coming through.
Let's go. Let's do this. It's needed. I'm so ready. I would like to get in touch with you. I didn't mean to like jump in, but I have a little bit of ADHD and I have to say it right now and then so I can get it to you. So I would like for your information so I can get in contact with you.
Can you put your email in the chat if anyone wants to be part of some of those planning calls? Tara's organizing those involved. So if you're interested in kind of the planning for this incubator to help all the other incubations, right? That's what we're doing here. Another hive.
And I put mine there for anyone that wants to just, ask more questions. My email address.
Because we got to get Melissa doing what Melissa does best. And the things that we can offload and we can do also. That's how this is going to really start rolling.
Let's get what all of us do and do what all of us do going best. Like I said, I don't mind talking, but I don't want to be the leader. I want to be like equal with everyone. Like we're sitting at the round table and not a square one, where we got a head. I want to be a worker bee too. Not just pumping out babies. um, Although I got lots of thoughts, so you know I can pump lots of little babies out of thoughts. But yeah, we are, I mean, we are structurally, and I did need a push, and I've needed people, and you know, and we need people. It's not just I need people, it's we need people. And so when we get the people, we will all be oiled and we will all be running in the way that we all should be doing. And that's really the goal is get humanity to succeed in all the ways they can. And everyone. So
I don't know if you just saw the orb that just flew right past you. Pay attention in the recording on the replay.
all right. Go ahead, Tara.
Hey, everybody. So this is regarding something that came up before because I've been thinking about this. How many mothers, like when their baby is young, have this like intuition that something's going on? I know it happened with my brother, my mom. Everyone kept telling her like, "Oh, your baby's so healthy." And she was like, "No, like check it out. He's got something. I can't explain it. Just please." And it turned out he would have died if they didn't give him a transfusion from her immediately. Yeah, it had to do with his platelets. Anyway, I've talked to a bunch of different parents that have told me the same thing that like they saved their own child, you know? And my kind of thought of the telepathy going on is, and also autists and autism, like we're, how do I explain it? Well, the first thing is that um we have these children with like such difficulties, and we're like the best way to connect with them often is this telepathic sense. And for me it's like starting to build, and I think, you know, although it's really hard, it's like I feel so blessed as a parent, and it's more and more it's starting to come, this feeling, you know, it's really hard at the beginning, and then, you know, the gifts start coming, the people start coming, you know, we start being able to talk to other parents about it. And I basically just wanted to like thank everyone and all the moms and say how special it is to meet other people. And we had a call last night, just a small group of us, and we're going to be also expanding that group as much as anybody that wants to come. But yesterday we had a call and it was just beautiful, just a bunch of moms sharing, you know, not recorded, just for us, and we really got to a lot of solutions too. So I can definitely send that as well. So I have my email over there, and you can just, you know, email me if you want to be part of that as well. And it's we're doing it Sundays, but we're open to like figuring out a better day if it doesn't work. We're, like I said, we're a small group now, but definitely interested in getting as many people involved.
I love it. As you were saying that, Owen said, believing is the start of telepathy. And just showing up and believing in it is the start that you need to enter into it. And the fact that so many people come to so many of these different meetings, it's not just Let's Be Telepathy. There's Autism and Telepathy group that has theirs. I know that there is telepathy conversation. There's different people, but what we're seeing is people showing up, and that's the first step to remembering anything, is showing up, and the second step is observing. I mean, the first step, as Owen's like, no, the first start believing, the second step showing up. So believe and then show up, or even be curious and show up. But once you get it into your head of, I do believe this, then that is the first key to unlocking it in your brain. And you don't have to believe in me. You don't have to believe in Owen. You don't have to believe in anyone. But if you believe in yourself, that is the first key and the first access point to at least opening up that book of telepathy. Dang, I've been waiting for this dang book name that I've been writing with all of these kids, and I was like, it's not the Book of Autism, because now we got people with Down syndrome and WWO. It's the Book of Telepathy. Thank you guys. Thanks, Stephen, for thank you, Owen. Thank you, Tara. Thank you, everyone. Book of Telepathy, that's the name of it. Okay. Kim, we got you here.
Yeah, I was thinking about this earlier. I don't, when you were talking earlier, and then I lost my train of thought. So I know that when we were talking about telepathy, and one of the biggest things was that you raise your vibration, you're leading with your heart, and you're taking the ego out of it, and it's like that. It's not mental, it's heart centered. So if people aren't leading with their heart, meaning other people that are trying to, I keep saying access them, they can't get through, right? I mean, they can't. Can people access telepathy if they're not coming at it from that space? So we don't really need to worry all that much.
No, the worry would be in the influence. So I will say that since telepathy tapes came out, the people that I'm working with on the telepathy tapes have had interference, and that's just because people are putting energy towards it. But we know with quantum mechanics that when we put any kind of energy into anything, the baseball experiment, if you guys ever saw that, or the softball or whatever, they had this bullseye, and it was one of those machines that just put out the balls, and the ball was assigned to hit the bullseye, and they let this machine run overnight, and they recorded it when nobody was in the building. It was boom, 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 and it hit the bullseye every time because there was only one task at hand: hit the bullseye. And so it did. However, when they had observers coming in and looking at it, the observers are going, well, the machine should do this and it should hit this. And they were trying to make mathematical equations. They were questioning whether or not it existed, whether or not it would hit the bullseye. That display of questioning and observation actually was in the equation of whether the ball was going to hit the bullseye. And because people were thinking and wondering, and they didn't have full confidence, plus their energy was bending the light a little bit, plus their energy was changing maybe the wind or the direction. And when they were looking at the bullseye, their energy was going to the bullseye too. So what happened during every observation is that the ball got off, and the longer that they observed it, the more the ball got off on the bullseye. So that shows that, yes, even if they can't access it, them putting their observation to it can change on a slight ability, but not to the point of we need to worry. Now, can they say we're going to do black magic? Can they say we're going to do this kind of stuff? Yeah, they could do stuff. The thing about telepathy that I love is it is so pure, it's untouchable. So the body might be touchable. The kids might, I might be like, oh, there's so many people trying to access that annoys the heck out of me. But if I slip into telepathy, only the telepathic have access. So then it slips me right out of that fear, and it slips me right out of all that other stuff. I don't know if you were in one of the meetings, but James had asked the question about telepathy in a different way that I was able to express an answer in a different way. And what he had asked was, I am trying to access telepathy from my heart. I'm trying to love my son. I'm trying to do everything from the heart. I did have to backtrack on that and say, I am sorry, guys, that I had ever told you to access it from the heart specifically, because not all, yes, telepathy is about love. It's about unity. It's about helping everyone. But the line itself, and a lot of the telepathy, the calls that I get outside of this call, like when I'm just sitting and I need to call someone, is SOS, is I need help, is there's a demon, there's an entity, there's, my body isn't reacting. So a lot of the things that I hear aren't heart-centered. It's not loving. It's I'm scared, I need help, come help me, whatever. So what I have learned instead, and I had to retract myself and say, don't go through the heart, go through the place of empathy, provide them safety. Because if you can provide safety and empathy for anybody, then it creates a place where any communication should be had. But if you're trying to go from just love, not everyone understands that. And love is different. And that's one thing that we've learned in our lab over the last 3 years is every single person that you asked, what is love, created a different response in the body. And some of it was the happy response. Some of it was very defensive. Some of it was mad. And it depended on love, on the person's experience and what the people that they have felt love for reacted. And so therefore, some people don't actually know how to get into that heart space or that love space, because when they say, I need to get into love, They have so much trauma because everyone that loved them abused them, hurt them, and hurt whatever. I apologize that I said that, and I retract my statement, and I say provide safety and empathy, and that is going to be the base. Because if you have safety and empathy, they can talk about anything, they can open up, and they can share anything. They're more open to the vulnerability, and you also are giving them that space to say it's about you and it's not about me. And that's a lot of what they need, is they're not talking, and they need that space to talk and not be interrupted, and not, your feelings take over. It's pure empathy for them and saying, what are you feeling? And so it's going more, instead of a heart place, it is ultimately going to lead you into love, but maybe don't try to start from there. Try to start from, I want to understand, and I'm going to be here for any capacity that you need me to be here. And I'm ready to feel what you're feeling, and I'm ready to experience what you're experiencing. And that is going to get you there faster than trying to go through love.
Do you go from like, do you establish a feeling? Because I feel like you're the kind of person that you just seem to be a kind, you've got something just so loving about you. So if you're in that state of being, like your vibration or whatever, is so maybe not using the term love, but is it like a feeling of this is where I'm vibrating at this frequency or whatever because I'm in this state of love. So whether it's not approaching that person with love, but just coming from that state, is that part of this or no?
Well, yeah, you have to be very aware of who you are and what you are at all points and times. I always tell people, live your life like somebody's always judging you and looking over you. And I do. I will say that when I am sad, when I'm upset, as you saw in the last Zoom, I was in a point where I said I can't do telepathy because I wasn't in a safe place in myself mentally. And so therefore I could not provide safety to anybody else. And so telepathy wasn't even an option because I was caught up in the emotions. I was caught up in myself. And so I only had the space to have empathy for me and for what I was going through. And I didn't have the capacity for anybody else. When you do telepathy, you definitely, now I don't want to say you have to uphold a certain frequency, because we see in the beta state, which is kind of the sleeping state, that's where a lot of the telepathy happens. And that telepathy is happening at lower vibrations. So it starts in the lower vibration. If you noticed when I was working with Jaden on the EEG versus when I was working with Creator, the differences were completely different. So when I was working with Jaden, the frequencies were, although the wavelengths were shortening, the frequencies themselves were staying short and small. Whereas when I got excited, or when I spoke about something else, or I actually raised my vibrations, it kicked him off. And so some people are stuck on, I need to be at this vibration, I need to be at this vibration. You just need to be in a place within your body that you're okay with. It doesn't, and sometimes I'm sad and they come through, but I'm sad, but I'm still okay sad. Like there's nothing I can do about it. I'm not in a loop in my head picking apart everything and trying to diagnose, because I'm not trying to fix a problem, because there's no problem to fix. I'm just sad an incident happened, they can come in. If I'm sad because there's something that needs to be done and I need to fix it, I myself, Melissa, I fixate on it. I pull it apart and I say, what do I need to do? And I start to dissect it. I don't have room for anybody in my head, because I'm trying to fix my own problems and trying to work with my things. So I get offline. And there are times when I just want my own time. Do not come into my head, please. And I shut it down. And so I start overtaking my thoughts rather than leaving my heads. I'm very conscious about what I am thinking, because if I'm thinking about what I'm thinking, nobody else room to get in my head, like David did at the end on that last EEG. He got in my head and I'm like, who is that? Who's talking? Someone's saying something, I don't know. And you could see that he hijacked my brain. And that's because I was in a place of, you guys have access. But I can be in a place also where I say, not tonight, I'm not doing anything. And like a friend, when they call you and okay, I'm here, you just don't answer the phone. I know you're talking to me, I know you're saying hello, but I'm not engaging in the conversation. And you can choose that. And I do that. And I'm going to say that I do that because I got about 500 people on telepathy line. Melissa needs a break too sometimes. So, one, being comfortable to say, this is the space, this is the time. And realistically, when you get into it, it's just going to be automatic. And that's going to be opposite, that you're going to be, well, I need to learn how to shut telepathy up. I don't learn how to say no at this moment because it's so fluent. It's just like this language. And it's just, again, a practice. It's just a moment of taking that time to go in and learn yourself, your body, but being okay with yourself, and being honest with yourself, even if you're not okay with some of the things that you did, because they're not looking for, some of them can connect to serial killers, rapists, even if that person is in a good headspace at that time or an okay space, they may see that as something safe. The thing about telepathy and everyone that speaks telepathy, they're here for the same reason: community, unity, and success for all. So they don't have judgment. And I feel like a lot of times people say, well, they're going to know what I did. They're going to know what I'm thinking. What if they come in when I'm having sex? What if they come in while I'm having an argument? What if they see that, I punched some kid at 7th grade, or I stole this or whatever? They're going to judge me. I will tell you, there's no judgment in telepathy whatsoever. Zero judgment. It's just, we're people, we're here. We've all gone through stuff. And true telepathy has gone through true consciousness to know that truly, I'm going to be Kim someday. I'm going to be Lori. I'm going to be Scott. I'm going to be Zan. I'm going to be all of you someday. There's actual no difference. It's just, this is the life that I'm living now. But in another life, if we all go through humanity the way that it's designed, we will live through every single person and every event and everything. So essentially, maybe not in this life, but maybe another life, I did kill someone. So it's not up to me to say, I condemn you forever. And I love that about telepathy, is that they give their judgment to the earth, to creator, and to karma. And they say, we don't even have to deal with it. That's not ours to worry about. And when you don't have to worry about judging others, oh my God, like, it's so much easier. You're like, oh, that person's overweight. They're beautiful overweight. That person's a different color. Like, awesome. More colors of the crayon, and then, oh, they did something. I don't have to sit and stress about it for 15 minutes about, oh, this person did this person did this, and whatever, and make my character bad. I just have to say, God, you know what? Judge them as you need to. I don't need to worry about it. And I give it away, and then boom, it's gone. And that's what they do across the board. So they never judge you guys. I know a lot of people are, I'm not doing enough. I'm not, I'm not, hello. Hey, Delia. I know that, some people worry, but don't worry about that. As long as you just are okay and say, I can have space for empathy and space to listen to somebody right now, you can do telepathy. So, yeah. All right, guys, we're at 2 hours and 20 minutes. So, Zan, you had your hand up. I want you to say what you.
Yeah. Oh, who knows Dahlia? Are you talking about Dahlia Burgoyne? Who is saying hi from Dahlia?
Steven.
Oh, I love Dahlia. Sorry.
I can tell her you said hi to her.
Yeah, Lidu's mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love her. She's a freaking mess. She's been helping me on my a little bit on my energy journey. She's amazing.
I'll tell her you said hi.
Yeah, good. I'm sending Lidu a birthday package. She'll be excited. Whenever I connect with non-speakers, I have a 3D printer and I send them toys, and it helps me get good with them, and they like that. And so, but I love 3D toys, so it's like my inner child healing. So I live vicariously. Okay, so I'll be really fast then. I like trying to think. I want to know, like, one of these Zooms, I want you to tell us like cool things that you learned from beta, because that's so cool. Like, whatever you can. Um, and that, I think, is probably gonna be the top one. And then if anyone in the group and within the chat is astrology based or knows anything like that, if you guys know of anything that's like supposed to come up on the 21st, if like you want to put that in the chat, that'd be awesome. I'm curious about that date. And then advice on a parent. I've been trying to connect with this kid across the street, and he's more severely, he's more high need or high accommodation. And I think that they kind of sedate him over the summer when he can't go to school. He's in his 20s, and I'm a photographer, and I've offered to um like do family photos for them recently. I think it was like a good way for me to get in to say hi, see how I can help. He's sent multiple dogs over to my house. He sent There's a lady down the street who has dementia, and I didn't know that she had early onset dementia. And all of a sudden, two other dogs come to my house, and I'm like, "Whose dog are these?" And then upon returning them, I find out this lady down the street has early onset dementia, and then I get like a little cheeky like nudge from the kid across the street going like, I sent them too. And like he's like very good at making his dogs escape to come find me. But I can't like get anything too super solid. So I'm like, okay, I need to connect with this family more and like make that a safe place. I definitely always get permission from the parents. And so I'm if there's she's older though, and she has not heard of the telepathy tapes. I didn't get great vibes when I was approaching her about that topic. I was like, "Oh, how does he communicate?" And I guess he does PEC the pictures. And so I'm trying to get her comfortable with the photo shoot because I was like, I'd love to do photos that other photographers normally wouldn't be able to do. I'll have like lots of patience. We can do whatever you guys need to. We can do it as long or as slow. But like, I don't know, any advice you guys would have on how to like open that conversation up with a like an older parent that is not familiar and has not kind of touched on this telepathy option with their kid yet. And again, her kid I think is also has been really stressful and difficult on her. Like I often see like computer screens that have been bashed on the side of their outside of their house because like somebody has destroyed it, and like things that are always being broken inside their house. And I think that it's like, just like over sensory overwhelm and this all the things that when they can't connect with their body, they don't have control of. So I'm feeling so called to him and I want to help him. So any advice on how to like talk to parents would be like awesome from anybody. Like it doesn't have to be long, but I'd love anything that anyone has to offer there. Or if you feel like you can connect with Mason, that would be amazing. But again, like I haven't, yeah, whatever you think. I'll kind of leave it open.
Does anyone have anything to say on that? Or no? Okay.
Okay.
First and foremost, I would never approach anyone right away and say this is a way to communicate. The first thing is to get the connection, and that's exactly what you're doing, is have that connection with them. Then when you have that connection, you start pointing out the different synchronicities. Then you start showing like maybe there's a lot more to them than what we're thinking. Do you ever think about this? And then you don't come out and say it, you plant questions. What about this? What about this? Because then they get to explore that themselves. Give them time to think about that. And when you get the answer, you'll be able to know kind of where to go to that. If they're, well, I don't believe in that at all, and it's a hard no, you see that their body isn't responding, it's not a time to talk about it. If it's, well, I don't know, then it's more questions. Well, was there any ever a time that you felt them, that you felt like you heard a word or that whatever? So you bring them to their selves. The thing about telepathy is you always want to make it about the direct person that you're trying to work with. So you want to bring it back to them because it's a finding in yourself. If it's yeah, I've thought about that, then come on a Zoom, let's see telepathy tapes. Here's Let's Be Telepathy, Zoom call, whatever you want to do, science research, or let's read, or even ask, do you have any questions for me? Because I'm part of this community. And then you can just explain it. And especially, you're still getting your toes wet, you're still walking in, you haven't fully taken the plunge into the water. You're a great person to journey through this with, because you're still in the beginning yourself. So you're still going to have questions that maybe they could answer too, that would give them confidence within what they're seeing and experiencing, most definitely. So I would start with the questions and just opening up the dialogue, but always, get that connection first, and then open up that dialogue. And you'll know from their reactions what it is. If they are a hard no and you're seeing, well, man, I can connect, I can do this, I can work with them, then what you're doing is you say, well, I feel like this, but make it acknowledgeable of, I feel like maybe he wants this crayon. I feel like maybe whatever, because then that's going to be the trust that they see of, well, how did you know that? What do you mean you just felt it? Which then also gives them the confidence, the acknowledgement, and they get a witness that this is a process that they can do themselves. So then it also throws back to them and gives them that confidence. And then as they see it progress, then you can say, well, yeah, you could do it too. It's something that we've always been doing. And you can even say, some people don't like the word telepathy. I'll dance around it too and be like, I don't know what you think about this, but some people would call it telepathy, but really it's just connecting to somebody else's energy. And so finding the words or finding that connection point that they're comfortable with, because coming right out and being like, well, telepathy is real whether you believe it or not, we're never going to learn anything, because Newton's law is going to be like, you just forced me one, you put so much force on it, it's going to knock them out the other way. So just gently having that conversation and bringing it up, and all you're doing is putting the seed and then just watering the seed. It's up to the plant to grow, but at least you're giving them that nutrients.
Perfect. Thanks. That's exactly what I needed. Just those little steps to ease my way in. Thanks.
Yeah. And with that being said, we're going to end our meeting today. I do have the schedule up on the Let's Be Telepathy Facebook page for anybody that wants to join. I will actually put it on the YouTube also. So I know we have a lot of YouTube people wanting to join in and whatnot. Bear with us, guys. We're going to become so much more in the next few months. We hope for all of you who want to be so much more to join us and be that more, because whoever wants to be more is going to be more. And the more people that we have, the more we're going to get it out, and that information, and the more resources we are going to have for everyone. It's a movement, it's a team, and we're all going to do it here. So I see little hands and stuff. Y'all are part of it for sure. Owen, you are definitely part of it, buddy. um, and yeah, so it'll be fun. It's going to be a good growth system, and we're going to do it together. You guys are not alone. Definitely not alone. You're on your right track. Congratulations. I'm proud of you guys for tuning in. I know all of you on this board at some point have tuned in far more than you tuned in the beginning of this. So give yourself that credit, and acknowledge the change that you made. And even if it's a change of, well, I didn't even, do anything but hear 5-HTP, give yourself dang credit. That was something. And it was even enough to know you need to stop for a bit. That's huge. Even if it's, oh, I got to call somebody else, and you never called somebody else. Even if it's coming on to a podcast you've never come on before, just showing up and doing things. You're making the changes. Acknowledge those changes, guys. You're doing well. I love you all. Have a blessed week. Peace be with you. Bye.
Thank you, Melissa. Bye bye.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye, everyone.